Well, guess what? Well, we might as well just get right into it because I'm beyond furious about this hurricane response. It's almost as if every single time something happens, we weren't ready. There wasn't enough resources. Something was going off. And I just want this should prove to every American that this administration, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, do not care if you, as an American, live or die. I don't know how many times they have to prove it to you guys with the open border, with all the fentanyl, with all the freaking gangs, with all the terrorists. And now when disaster strikes, there's nowhere to be found. They wait for a freaking week to start talking into a freaking microphone. First, I have a video. Kelly, do you have a video?
Yeah, it's crazy. This is the one where they graciously pride themselves on giving $650.
This is the Joe Biden. This is the first one saying that there's no more resources he could give to the victims. Go ahead, Kelly, play this video.
Yes, actually, matter of fact, the sign to get just sacking up her. The shooters live on the ground, Florida ready out. It was finishing the cheer and the opportunity to make sure to finish the activity here. I hope of being stolen. It was something you can go away, I saw them both. Stunning, but then some of them really had to be late, so it's such a wide area. I know after and if they give you all those, we wall and you let it down, you can give every kind of task that in the farm.
Are there any more resources to government?
Any more resources? Oh, it's dope. Tell me.
Can we address the elephant in the room? That man is still allegedly president of the United States of America.
Yeah.
He looks, it's not to make fun of my grandmother because my grandmother lives to 103. Yeah. That's what my grandmother looked like when she was out to lunch, had no idea where she was, and was reliant on other people for support. This man's supposed to be leading the most powerful nation on earth. Everybody knows it's a joke. It's a sick joke.
100%. And Rob.
Well, we had Kevin McCarthy on, and he was talking about watching Joe Biden's cognitive decline behind the scenes. And it's so frustrating that the American people have been lied to for the past 3.5 years by this administration, who has continued to cover up his cognitive decline. And then when you called it out, they gaslit you, told you were a crazy conspiracy theorist for believing that. But you look at him, the guy's got, and I hate to be that guy to judge looks, and I'm certainly not one to do that, look at myself, but the guy's got liver spots. Like when you start, like he looks so much older than the guy that we had in 2020. And even then, he looked old. But the rapid acceleration, remember how young Barack Obama looked when he was elected compared to the Barack Obama post office?
Yeah.
Like, it looked like two different people. Joe Biden is decaying in front of our very eyes.
Yeah, it's horrible, bro. And I think there's another video that drove me crazy. And again, it's almost as if it's comedy to the fact that we're just supposed to accept this. All we do, all we can do is kind of talk crap. The Democrats are just shameless in the fact that they basically did the switcheroo. They did the coup. But it's like, we're watching this guy. He's clearly not in charge. This is more evidence that he's never been in charge. Kamala isn't in charge because she has no idea what the hell she's doing. We all know it's the powers that be and it's the freaking elites that are above it. But then this is another video where he says, American guys, we don't have enough money. So you know what Joe Biden says? That we're going to have to help fund the recovery of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Play this video.
We have rivers that are still rising. The danger is still occurring for a lot of people.
And by the way, as the FEMA can tell you, they had pre-positioned an awful lot of material throughout that area, from Bend all the way up into Tennessee. And so the idea that we weren't prepared, the question is, no one knew exactly how devastating it would be. We knew it would be significant, and we've got a lot already in place, but there's more. But here's the point. I'm going to be asking the American people to continue to help fund the needs of these people. It's not going to be one hit and it's over. It's going to take a hell of a long time. It's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. But this is the United States of America.
Yeah,
we've got to do.
Yeah, you know that
you know what our federal budget is? It's $5 trillion a year, and they've never stayed under budget once. And they spend an extra $1.6 trillion this year and years prior. And they're saying they don't have enough. Like FEMA alone had a $1.4 billion budget. They spent that all on the immigration stuff. You're telling us we can't. Like they're spending $200 billion a month for quantitative easing during COVID just to keep interest rates at the level they liked it at. So they can't just give some money to the people in North Carolina who are floating around right now.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say two things. First of all, this is exactly what Justin Trudeau did in Canada when we had the hurricanes that hit Nova Scotia.
The federal government pisses away the money funding foreign conflict, much like what Trudeau did, and then makes the people fundraise for their own existence, for their own survival, because they can't rely on the federal government who's already squandered away your money. The federal government has lost more money in unaccounted for monies that were laundered through Ukraine than they've spent rebuilding Lahaina, East Palestine, and now North Carolina and Georgia. They've lost more in accounting errors. They don't give a sweet bugger all. They make more work for themselves, and they get to then say, look at how catastrophic this was in 2 years' time. There'll be, I think, probably closer to 500 people dead.
Yeah.
They'll say, look how many people died in that hurricane. It's evidence of climate change. Not evidence of incompetent, corrupt government.
And by the way, and
Then what do? They spend more money to fight climate change instead of having that money available for resources to give to the American public that are impacted by these freak storms. Tell me that climate change caused that hurricane that hit North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina, and then wiped it out. And then on top of that, and I know Brandon's going to talk about like weather seeding and stuff like that, but it just comes out the other day that the UAE is going to extend their cloud seeding program. So they're talking about weather manipulation and stating that it exists. But then when you talk about it in America, like, no. But then you look at the planes, they've had newscasts. I wish we could find it. There's a newscast online where there's a woman describing how they're spraying the aluminum into the air to combat climate change from these planes. So they spend more money fighting this boogeyman that doesn't exist, and then the resources aren't there when a storm that they engineer, that's my opinion, then strikes. It's crazy.
And by the way, and the
100%.
best guy, and the best, this is my favorite guy, Rob, the rat, Alejandro Mayorkas. Dude, I despise this individual, and again, I have to pray for this dude because he knows exactly what the hell he's doing. He is trying to destroy this freaking country. He's a freaking lapdog for this administration. He said he's just warned us that FEMA doesn't have enough funding to last throughout this hurricane season. But here's a video of him a while back saying that we got all the money in the world. FEMA's chilling. Son, Kelly, play this video.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well.
Yeah. Okay, let me give you guys a little, just FYI, of how much money, because everything comes down to money. Let's do brass tacks. It's about the money. So far this year, the United States has given, are you guys ready for this? This is 1 year, Connor. $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, $1.95 billion to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, $1.1 billion to Afghanistan, $1.1 billion to Somalia, $1.1 billion to Yemen, $987 million to Congo, $896 million to Syria, and $9,000 plus per illegal immigrant that has entered the United States of America. Okay, I'm sick and tired of these. I can't even cuss. They're giving our money to everybody else, and then we have people dying. Literally, me and Kelly were talking about this. I don't want to play the video because I don't want to get emotional back-to-back episodes. This lady's crying in her house, Rob. She's seeing the river that's in front of her house, and babies, dead bodies, are flying down. Dude, I don't even want to get into it. And then this is a couple days ago, Kami Kamala comes out and says people impacted by the hurricane are going to get $750 each. And what drives me crazy, this is Viva's Twitter X post, and I'm going to read your comments on this. Viva, if you could have it. I mean, I think it's going to be on the screen, Kelly. We'll zoom out. Pay attention. Look at how she's strategically set up with the backdrop of a destroyed home. That family is effed, but she had to set up her stupid presidential podium and wear that emergency jacket and play this video, Kel.
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like. And you can apply now for anyone who's watching this who has been affected. There are FEMA personnel who are going door to door to interact personally with folks, especially those who do not have electricity. But also that aid, if you have electricity, can be applied for
If you have
online.
electricity, apply for it.
And I encourage people
Where are you going to
do that.
spend it?
FEMA will just basically verify your address, and then process should take.
She
Guys,
said something from a broken house and then mentions the 750. Like
she's
that
standing, Molly. That's a photo op. I want to come to you, Molly. This is Viva's tweet, and don't forget what you're gonna say.
What's gonna come up?
Viva posted. Oh, this is it. $750. If you even have internet to apply for it online, $750 whole dollars. That's 3 nights in a hotel, depending on what hotel you're gonna get. If it's not destroyed or underwater, or a week worth of food for a family, the choice is all yours. $200 billion to Ukraine. An idiot sociopath tweeting. What were they saying, Dave?
Sycophants. They were saying this is what a real leader looks like. Like she gives that speech, and the idiot Twitter accounts, and we all know them by now. Like, this is what leadership.
Let me
looks
guess.
like.
Crowds and scenes.
No, not well. I don't even know what the cross. I muted them. I cannot stand their noise anymore. But this is coming from the same people
Harry's sister.
who they accuse Trump of staging photo ops for political purposes. She sits up in front of someone's destroyed house and then seemingly prides herself on offering them and it is a piddly in the context of this, $750. And she looks ashamed. Like, if you look at her body language, she's turtled over. She's like playing with her hands like, holy crap, I'm going to get chewed out for this. But then, get my army of bots to say what leadership looks like. This is what leadership looks like. Squander the money away.
I disagree. I think she's so out of touch, she doesn't even know that $750 is not a lot of money. I think she has no idea. I mean, this is the same woman that wore $40,000 pearl necklace to the border as immigrants are rushing into our country and going, everything's fine. Like, this woman has lost her mind. She doesn't relate to the average person. And to her, $750, she probably thinks that's a month's rent for somebody. When in reality, that is not even, that's what? For a family of 3, that's probably, if there is a grocery store open, that's probably 1 or 2 trips to the grocery store. Thank you for 2 weeks worth of groceries.
If there's food on the shelves, if the store is open, if you can get to a hotel to even stay in the it's an absolute insult.
Like during COVID, when they said, okay, here's your stimulus check, $1,400. What they were expecting is that everybody would go out and use that for, rent or whatever. Nobody can rent for $1,400 anymore.
Anywhere.
Like you trying to get a studio apartment in a major city, and it's going to be like a flat $2,000 right off the bat. So it wasn't helping. These people have no idea what things cost anymore, and it's their fault they cost so much in the first place. You could get a lot more for $750 at a grocery store under Trump.
You're in a dire emergency situation. You got Pete Buttigieg saying, nobody go there. You can't fly drones over to help people. To even find out who the survivors are. And by all accounts, they've ordered more body bags than the 110 known fatalities that they've announced. And then you get her standing in front of someone's disaster saying, we're doing good work here. $750, but our hands are kind of tied because we've pissed away $650 million on illegal immigrants through the federal emergency program because we've created a federal emergency through our immigration policies, which isn't a crisis, but it's Trump's fault for not stopping it.
Dude,
it's scary.
Go ahead, Brandon.
No, it's scary though, like that how far wrapped up people get in like the whole politics thing, because like how could people not be outraged about this? Like even if you hate Trump, like how could you not separate
the hate for him, Brandon? Because the hate for him is so hardcore and so prevalent.
Yeah.
They don't. You think? By the way, if you are any of you guys in here, anybody at home, if you're living in North Carolina, any of those affected places, are you gonna vote for this freaking administration? Are you gonna vote for these sons of?
That's the thing.
Can they vote?
That's the thing, and I'll get into that later. But all these places are red areas, and they're completely cut off from society right now. So there's a good chance they might not be able to vote.
When you look at the destruction, we see it a lot in Florida, right? It's really weird for me because I have like this weird survivor's guilt. Hurricane Irma, I believe it was called, hit a few years ago, wiped out all of the west coast of Florida. Fort Myers, Cape Coral area.
Yeah, I remember.
We literally had moved from Cape Coral to here a month before. Wow. This Hurricane Helene, wiped out the entire town of Treasure Island, where my family and I lived for 6 years. Beautiful little island, gone. But feet of sand in the streets. Every home had 6 feet of water inside. It's gone. That being said, we live in Florida. We expect hurricane season to happen. We have flood insurance. We have things to protect ourselves. Yep. You think any of those homes in the mountains of North Carolina had flood insurance? No. Not a single one. And you're going to turn and give them $700. Are we past 8 minutes? You're going to give them $750 fucking dollars and then act like that's a lot of money. Shame on you. Have you guys ever heard of use it or lose it spending?
Yes.
Where it's year end, the government has a surplus of money left over for their spending. So what the government does, rather than saving that money, giving it back to the people who gave it to them, the taxpayers, they go and waste that money because if they have that money left over for the following fiscal year, Vinny, then they won't get a larger budget. So some examples of that, in 2019, the Department of Defense spent $8,000 on new office chairs, even though they didn't need to, in the last week of the fiscal year, just to get rid of those chairs, get new chairs, so they could get a bigger budget for the following year. It's dumb examples like that. It's stupid, but in 2010, federal agencies were found overspending $500,000 on public relations and advertising at the end of the year, including $150,000 on a radio campaign that wasn't crucial, just so they could get a larger advertising and media campaign. Give that money to the American people. Why do we keep acting like this is fine? Why are we not having a bigger say in where our tax dollars are spent than in these midterm elections and these presidential elections every 4 years? That doesn't change shit anyway.
Yeah, I wrote an analogy of how, and I love that you said that it's our money, bro. This is our money that's just getting sent to all these places. The analogy is like how they treat our money. It's like, can you imagine having a piggy bank and you bust your ass filling that piggy bank with all your money, thinking for life. Then you're out doing your thing. Your parents take, and you're saving it for emergencies too. Your parents take that money and they start giving it to the neighbors. Then you come home, something bad happens, and you're like, Mom, my leg, and they're like, oh shit, sorry. We gave it to everybody in the neighborhood. No, F that. That's our money, bro. And bro, and think about it. We're just throwing out the numbers. All the numbers I wrote, 26 billion, 9 billion, 8 billion. Do you realize how much money that is? Well, all the money that you bust your ass, all of you guys busting your asses at work, second jobs, doing all your shit, paying all the taxes, it ain't going to you. And this is a prime example of them not giving a shit if you live or if you die.
And what have you ever heard them say? We don't have the money to do something when they wanted to do it.
Never. They always have money.
$6 trillion in 2 years during COVID.
I gave you two very small examples. In 2014, the Department of Veteran Affairs was scrutinized after they spent more than $20 million on new artwork in various offices, including sculptures and paintings purchased at the end of the fiscal year to get a bigger budget.
Rob,
now, how do you guys feel that your tax? Have you ever seen the paintings that are in the Department of Veteran Affairs office in Washington? Any one of you?
Nope.
But all of our money went to it.
And I'm
Rob,
a veteran.
that created American jobs by buying that artwork. They were funding philanthropy.
Yeah, guess who made the paintings?
Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden painted.
No, but the amazing thing is you give the number for Ukraine. Let's say, what was it, 27 billion this year. Yeah. And then you go back to that CBS report from 2022 when they rightly reported that only 30% of any aid was making it to the front line, which means there's a loss of 70%. But round it down, say it's 30% loss. What's 30% of 27 billion? It's more than would have been required to rebuild Lahaina, East Palestine, and all of these affected states. But it's such an emergency to ship that money out so fast with no oversight. They're willing to agree to the loss because of the urgency. But this is not a sufficient urgency to maybe just not give that much money in either going forward or think about how you spent it in the past, because when it comes time to need it, it's not there anymore.
Dude,
there's layers and layers and layers of dirtiness to this, though, because the whole Russia-Ukraine thing didn't even need to happen. We know they provoked them into that, so they provoked them into this war to keep the military-industrial complex going, and then on top of that, they rapidly spend all this money on that didn't need to happen, and then intentionally slap us in the face and spit in our face and don't give us what it would cost, a measly $700 million or $1 billion. That's what FEMA's budget is.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's pennies to them.
Yeah.
They don't view us as a real country. America to these people is just an economic zone, a place where there's no cultural identity, there's no people group, there's no borders. It's just the zone that's making them money, and they will take everything we generate for them and send it out wherever they want. Our government, our leaders,
or the globalists.
I had a joke, but I won't make it.
Yeah,
but I think we all know who the other they that we're not saying here is.
No, but there is clearly an establishment that works behind the scenes to the disadvantage.
Exactly.
That's not Michael Bowen. John was it? Michael Bowen, who just debated Vivek on stage yesterday.
John Bolton.
John Bolton was like, because Vivek is breaking his ass down. He's like, the deep state. There's no deep state. He's like, you're in the deep state. You are the deep state. You Yosemite Sam mustache having son of a bitch.
Don't you understand? They tell you it's not happening, then they tell you it's a good thing it's happening. Was it George Stephanopoulos who said that the deep state is a bunch of patriots looking out for America?
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist, and it's a good thing that it does. And then you go back to the border crisis. There's no border crisis, but there's such a border crisis. We need to get FEMA involved, and now there's no money left, and it's Trump's fault.
And that's what I was going to say.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
To them,
it's like a bad girlfriend.
Our money does not exist. Our money is not backed by anything. They can print up however much they want. They've proven they're willing to blow up the inflation rate when it suits them. So they could just make more money that's useless and backed by nothing but government fiat and, use this to fix the problem. but they won't do that for us because that solves the problem. Unless you think this is just a leftist Democrat thing. Vinny, we were just watching before the show. Lindsey Graham was being interviewed on Fox News, I think it was.
Yeah.
And while there's footage of the hurricane destruction playing in the background, he's talking about, and Israel is surrounded on all sides by people who want to wipe them out.
He has to bring it.
Has to bring it back to that because that's the pet project of the Republicans who want to take our money and send it elsewhere too. They do not care about the people who live here because all we are numbers on a page that generate dollars for them to send to the things they really do care about.
The most powerful group of people in the world, though, is the American population because we're the biggest consumption base in the world, and that's where they get all their money from. Like that $5 trillion a year, the $27 trillion GDP, that's all the American people.
Yeah.
And if we just have the balls to collectively say we're done with that.
Brandon, it'll never happen unless America. Look, dude, look at the distractions: race, gender,
divide and conquer,
economic status, sports, football, Yankee. There's so much that we don't give a shit, bro. Like
the fact that some people are out there talking about sports right now is driving me crazy. Like the fact that they're siphoning off our talk. Like I loved sports more than anybody. Like just a few years ago, but right now they're just bending us over and like shoving it up our ass.
Oh, and you don't have a break, Rob, because I know you're itching. We don't get a break. Look at the cycle of seasons: football, baseball. It's like, can we give us a break? Can we take a year off of sports? That's why, you know how important of a distraction sports is? Remember in COVID, the biggest thing they were talking about is, when is baseball going to come back?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Okay? And that's why they're paying them $250 million contracts, because they, hey, look over here. Give a shit about Taylor Swift went to a football game. I don't care. There's people literally drowning in the street. And Kelly, your family's directly affected by this. Am I correct?
Yeah, my mother gives us an update about every other day and says that, this morning she texted me and she said we are in our second week without power. They have no running water. My grandmother is over 90 years old, and if anything happens to her, the roads are still blocked by trees. There's power lines down. It's going to be hard for her to get to a hospital or anything like that. So thankfully, my brother actually, he lives on a hill. He just bought this apartment like a month ago, and underneath that hill, all of those homes are gone and people died. People that his neighbors died.
Jeez.
So my family is like struggling, and my family volunteers at church. They're trying to help rescue people. There's like some crazy stuff happening down there. And I'm so frustrated because I'm offering all the support I can. I'm visiting there. I'm helping them do stuff. My brother's driving water to people, but yet the government I don't feel supported. I don't feel support from my family.
Kelly, how are they?
Strangers in another country that might have, things against us are getting.
How's your family?
You don't really know what's happening, like when this stuff happens until it happens to you. Like we see hurricanes, we hear people die, and we're like, oh, that's so sad. But to hear my brother's story about like his neighbors that are dead, and then the people that he interacted with, because he went down there to help, like look for them. And he gets down there and people are like, everything's just gone. And there's like bodies floating. And it's really, really sad and scary. And overnight this happened, right? So I could have lost my mother. I could have lost my brother. My family's so faithful and like I said, they're volunteering at church. So they feel very blessed. They feel very grateful. But other people that might not have that not easygoing, but that kindness, temperament about them, they're struggling and they're suffering, and everything they have is gone. Businesses are gone, their homes are gone, and their towns are gone, their friends are gone, and it's so sad. And so my family will never tell you that they're frustrated because they have much faith. Temperament. They have a really good temperament. They have so much faith, and they're like, we're so blessed to be alive. They're so grateful for that. And which makes me even angrier because I want more for my brother's neighbors. I want more for my brother. I want more for my mother and my grandmother who are sitting in the dark right now.
Jeez.
So I love you guys, and I know that there are people helping you, but I want more for people in North Carolina.
My family's actually in a very similar boat.
Sorry, Cal.
Yeah. My family's in a similar boat because my parents live 45 minutes west of Asheville. So their home is okay. There's a gigantic mudslide in their neighborhood.
I saw the
most of the houses up that far in the mountains are on generators, so a lot of people didn't lose power immediately, but internet was gone, cell service was out, so there's people just up the mountain stranded. If they can't drive down because of a mudslide, they have no way to get in touch with anybody. My dad worked.
You remember, like, when Katrina hit, for anybody who was young enough or old enough to remember, and they were claiming racism. They're saying, like, oh, this is Bush's lack of responses because it's black population.
George Bush doesn't care about
George
black
Bush doesn't
people.
care about black people. When you operate on the basis of the iron law of woke projection that all progressives, liberals, and capital D Democrats do is accuse their adversaries of doing what they're doing,
Always.
that would imply that the neglect right now would probably be on the basis of political prejudice because of the areas. I've seen videos of people online saying, I bet a bunch of racists just got what they deserved out there and all this,
Of course.
There's an argument to be made, or at least you can lend credence to the suspicion that the neglect or the poor response, if Bush's response to Katrina was race-based, then theirs is politically prejudice-based, and they know that these are reddish-leaning areas. So let them have a lesson of life about climate change.
It doesn't help that Asheville was the bluest part of North Carolina, so that it completely undermines their point if they're happy about it. But even so,
and I want to show
they're just celebrating the fact that people they think are the wrong demographic
and I want to
got
show
destroyed.
and I want to show and to just not to get people like Kelly and their families even matter that when the sitting president of the United States has no idea what the hell these people are talking about when they say that they're in a storm zone. He doesn't know what storm they're talking about. Charlie, can you play this video?
What does the states of the storm zone need, Mr. President? What do the states of the storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today?
Oh, in the storm zone.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
I don't know what storm you're talking about.
storm. What storm are you talking
That's
about?
what they needed. They're very happy across the board.
Very happy across the board. And let me explain something to you guys. In this time, and I'm speaking for people like Kelly and their families and all the families that are always affected by this type of disaster, they need to see a leader. They need to see somebody that's there that gives a damn about them, to give them hope, to give them comfort, okay? Joe Biden's on vacation. Kamala just showed up to do that thing. You know who was on the ground? Trump. Trump was flying to all these places and letting them see his face. Dude, he was getting briefings from the military. He's not the sitting president, but the military knows what's up, bro. These guys are MIA. This guy's on the ground. Remember when I think there was something in Puerto Rico happened? Was it
There was another hurricane.
there was a hurricane. Even when Trump was like there, just giving them paper towels and stuff, they're like, oh my God, he's throwing them at them. Nothing that Trump could do is right. But in this situation, bro, shame on them, bro. It drives me crazy.
To highlight also, Trump started, I'm almost reluctant to mention the name of the fundraiser.
The GoFundMe.
The GoFundMe.
Millions.
2 million now.
I think it's
I say, and I'm not going to fault Trump for doing the right thing, and there's no but to that. Just next time, Trump, use Give, Send, Go so that people who want to support, I will not give $1 to GoFundMe. So there is a Give, Send, Go campaign called the 2024 Hurricane Relief. So you go to Give, Send, Go, and it's 2024 Hurricane Relief Fund.
Okay.
And it's now it was at 15,000 yesterday. Now it's at 45,000.
Okay. I'm gonna give to that when we're done.
Yeah, because nobody should use GoFundMe. It's Give, Send, Go. That's the only one. And I DM'd
Give,
someone.
Send, Go, and they'll just go to
It's going to select and recognize charities. I messaged
gonna help the
Jacob
people?
Wells yesterday, the CEO. He reassured me it's legit. It's the best.
I'm gonna do that.
No,
And I DM'd someone within the Trump campaign. Don't use GoFundMe anymore. It's only Give.
I'll
Send,
throw
Go.
this out there just because this is very important that it's being discussed by a lot of people online who are on the ground with this. FEMA is being accused of taking donations and of money and of resources and not giving them to the people in North Carolina. They just add it to their pool of resources to use whatever. So if you donate to FEMA directly or to any of these organizations working with FEMA, there's a chance that they will take your money and use it to fund the migrant crisis or use it to bundle in with their other responses because they can do whatever they want with it once the money goes to them. So GoFundMes or not GoFundMes, the Give, Send, Goes, the local charities, the churches, work with them because the government is lying to you about what they are doing.
And I know this statement that I'm going to say right now is not going to affect the brainwashed Trump's a Hitler morons. But for anybody that was undecided, anybody that's kind of just on the fence and you want to sit this one out, let this disaster and look at. I could have come. I mean, it's horrible, but it couldn't come at a more important time to show everybody. Come November, this is what your government, your active leading people in the government right now, think about you. They don't give a shit if you're literally your dead body is going downstream because Israel is first, Ukraine is first, Congo, Taiwan. All these places matter because it's business, because war and funding this shit is business. And this is the clip right here that Connor was talking about. Guys, people are dead. children, women. Kelly's family, she's talking about the neighbors are freaking dead. Lindsey Graham takes this thing, and look who he brings in. He brings in Israel. Show this clip.
You can thank Trump and Elon Musk for that. You know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making. And Biden says be proportional. What is the proportional response? The people want to kill you and your family. They're running out of ammunition in Israel. We have to help our friends.
How can you help your God
over there from
forsaken
coming
citizens?
here? The world is
No, we have to help our friends. First of all, at the risk of saying something that's going to be politically incorrect, this is how you propagate and generate and exacerbate anti-Semitic sentiment. Very clear. It's a non sequitur. And you imagine that there's Americans who are going to say, did he just say that? We got to take care of our friends before we take care of our citizens? It's dereliction of duty. 100%. And it's not just a capital D Democrat thing. This is a uni-party thing. It was a Republican entity that evil Dick Cheney, who's now supporting Kamala Harris, that they made a lot of money off of their funneling monies to fund foreign wars.
Of course.
But that is exactly how you perpetuate stereotypes and exacerbate anti-Semitic sentiment.
Yep, I agree. All right, guys, we're gonna move on to the next story.